Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. Welcome to the show. Whether you're watching us live or you're watching a rebroadcast or you're listening to it on a podcast, we're really happy to have you in the audience. Remember, we love to have you like, to share, to comment. We love your comments. It makes the show. And actually, we have 2 comments already. So let's see who's here.
Hello,
Paul
Paul.
Hollis
Welcome. Sir.
Says, hi,
welcome.
Joan and Rob. Hi, Paul. Glad to have you in the audience, as usual. And Joe Conjal says, hi, Rob and Joan.
Joe.
Hi, Joe. Glad that you're here, too. And C.W. Hawes.
And Chris, how you
Hi,
doing?
Rob and Joan. Yes, hi. Hello, Paul. Oh, Marjorie. My gosh, Marjorie,
Hello,
you're
Marjorie.
so early.
Yes, you're right. On time. That's great.
Marjorie Deering says, and I'm happy to be here on time, too. Oh, Donnie Finch. Hello.
Donnie.
Hi, welcome to the
Welcome
show.
aboard.
We're glad to have you in the audience. Please continue to comment and ask questions, whatever you want. Well, Tori
Hey.
Gates is in the house.
Hi, Tori.
Hi,
Coming
Tori.
in from LinkedIn. How are you doing, Tori?
Yeah. Glad to see you here, Tori. I'm really excited about tonight's author because I think he has a really good message about why he even started to write and why he wrote these books in particular. And we've got another person, Heather Mudgett. Hello, Heather. Welcome to the show. Glad that you could make it. Continue commenting, asking questions. If you don't see other people's comments, let me mention this right now. It's because we're broadcasting on 6 live channels right now, and 3 are on Facebook, different Facebook addresses. 1 is on LinkedIn, and 2 are on YouTube. And so whichever channel you're watching on, like if you tune into, say, like our Facebook page, then you're only going to see the comments of the people that are watching on your channel. So we have people watching on all those channels. If you don't see their comments, there's nothing wrong with your page or anything. It's just that you're not going to ever be able to see them. Joe Conjal said, I read his bio. What an inspiration, right? That's what I thought too, Joe. Really inspirational.
Well, before we go much further,
Okay.
I'll tell you, we had a weird day. I had a weird day.
You had a weird day?
Well, I had a guy trying to sell me a coffin. And, that's the last thing I need.
Oh, geez.
Boom, boom. Okay. Just wanted to remind everybody to
I just want to apologize. And
no apology
after I kill
necessary.
him after the show, I promise that won't happen again. This is why he has a T-shirt that says dad jokes on it from his kids. Anyway, go ahead.
Should have said bad jokes, I guess.
Bad jokes.
Don't forget the Voice of Indie podcast right after our show. Beam Weeks and Stephen G's, 8 o'clock every Wednesday, of course. Blog Talk Radio. Tonight's guest is Mark Schultz. And we've got a little thingy here to show you. There's Mark. Some of you know who he is, and whoever doesn't, tune in to the Voice of Indie tonight. Want to also remind everybody the 3rd book in the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles is out by Cindy Davis. It's out right now. It's The Great Peanut Butter Conspiracy.
Yeah.
And
great title.
Right. And but it is available now. And also we want to say this is the first show of the summer.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't that amazing? Okay. CindyDavisAuthor.com is where you can go to get connected with that book.
Beam Week says, greetings, Rob and Joan. Hello, Beam. And Joe Conjal said that was actually a good one, referring to the joke. And
Of course it was.
Joe, please don't
Thanks,
encourage him.
Yeah, keep it up, Joe. Come on. That's good.
CW says, Superbook. Yeah.
And CW has a book also.
Also a super book.
Yes, the first one in the Crime Chronicles, and so does Caleb Purtle. So if you haven't started on that, you're getting behind. The third book's out already, so we want you to get involved in that. I read the first one. It's really great. I can't wait to get the second one done. So without much ado.
Oh, Joe Conjal says, I'm almost done with Caleb's book. Can't wait to get into Cindy's.
Well, you're a book ahead of me there, Joe. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So without much ado, we want to introduce Nick Chiarkas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm honored to have been invited and honored to be here. Thank you.
Well,
we're happy to have you.
We're happy to have you on the show. You bring a lot to the table.
So this is Nick Chiarkas, in case you didn't notice. And to start off, Nick, why don't you tell us what I was talking about, what inspired you to start writing and why you wrote these two books in particular, which will bring those up. Oh, you can see them behind them right now, Weepers and Nunzio's Way.
Yes. I say that I use them as a curtain to cover the light from coming in, but it's just really advertising.
There you go. There you go. Good way to go.
What inspired me? I grew up in a low-income housing project. My family was 3 kids, mother and father. My father was just got out of the Navy, World War II, and was a longshoreman. We had some welfare, so we were pretty poor. And it was a tough neighborhood. It's on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Well, part of my story is in my bio. So do you have time for me to?
Yeah,
oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We got an hour.
Okay.
We got an hour and a half. We got 2 hours maybe.
Okay, stop me. Go
Don't
like
worry.
that.
We have
I'll
a hook.
stop talking. Okay, good. And let me say at the outset, I saw the number of people that signed in. I'm married. I have children and grandchildren. Nobody listens to me. This is wonderful. Thank you. So thank
There you go.
I'm in the 4th grade, PS1, public school number 1. And the principal wanted to talk to my mother. So the principal was meeting with my mother, and I was sitting in the outer office. It was after school, so no one else was around, just me sitting there. And I can hear the principal telling my mother how stupid I was, and that I would certainly never graduate from high school, and she should start thinking of a secure and just a kind of job where I have to do much and I would be secure. And so I can hear this as a kid. And my mother's Italian, a 2nd generation, but didn't put up much of an argument. In those days, I guess the principal was like God to my mother, as were doctors.
The authority.
Yeah.
But there was a teacher in this elementary school who had just finished shopping. She stopped by to pick up something, and she saw me sitting there, and she heard what was going on. And this lovely woman took me, this little 4th grader, by the arm, and she took me into the teacher's lounge. Again, it was empty, and she had a bag of groceries, and she made tea for me. I don't know if nobody's ever done that for me. Been in the teacher's lounge. And she asked me if I liked pound cake. And in those days, pound cake came wrapped up, and it had a white or vanilla frosting on it. And she took it out of the bag she had purchased. And I said, yeah, I like it, especially the frosting. She unwrapped it, and she cut it this way. so that the cake was about that much cake and about that much frosting. And she cut it in half and gave me half. And she told me to read whatever I could find. And then she told me to always eat the icing off the cake. I don't think she ever knew the effect that she had on me. But when I wound up getting my doctorate, I mailed it. I tracked her down and mailed it to her with a card that said, "Look what you did." And I think about the kids like me who had some potential, but just surrendered and just sort of went down this spiral of despair. When I thought about writing Weepers, when I got my doctorate in sociology, especially in social deviance, and a lot of it was trying to understand how I grew up and what it's like being poor. And frankly, I am not surprised, but I am stunned that we don't admire the load poor people have to carry rather than criticize the way they carry it. And I wanted to write something about what it was really like for kids in that neighborhood that was poor. And I wanted to tell the truth. And I thought the best way to tell the truth was through fiction. I didn't want to write a sociology paper. I wanted to write a novel about what it was like growing up. And that's why I wrote Weepers, and Nunzio's Way, which comes out October 1st, is the sequel to Weepers.
That's Nunzio's Way is right here.
And so that's basically why I decided to write it. For the reading, though, when she told me to read, my first job was when I was 11. I worked in a grocery store delivering. People would call in, take an order. This is the 1950s. I'm an old guy. And they'd call in, and Mr. Gogol would put all of the stuff in a bag and give it to me and tell me how much money to collect. And I would deliver the groceries. And then certainly there would be gang members waiting because they knew this kid was delivering groceries, and then he would have money in his pocket. And they would chase me. And I became a roof rat. It's what we called them on the Lower East Side. I was a kid that knew how to get from one part of the neighborhood to another part on the roofs, jumping from one roof to another roof to another roof. And a lot of the gang members wouldn't chase me up there. And so I would hide. One of the places I would hide was in the public library. I would be able to get into the public library from the roof, and I would hide in the fiction section. And as my teacher told me, I would read. And I would read. I fell in love with poetry. I fell in love with adventure stories. They metaphorically took me out of the neighborhood. And to some extent, the libraries saved my life. Literally, I would hide there. I love dogs. I have a golden retriever, so you might hear mine. That's not a problem.
Editorial comment from our dog. Well, CW says, what a horrible experience to have to hear that. And thank goodness for that teacher, to hear that, you were stupid and never going to amount to much. And here we are all these years later. Not only did you get your doctorate, but you got a law degree, right? You were Deputy Chief Counsel for the president during Reagan's reign.
Amazing.
Isn't it too bad that you never amounted to anything?
I think honestly, don't tell anybody.
Okay.
I think I did all that to spite the principal.
Good.
Yeah.
Then good.
And all those guys that were chasing you.
And all those guys that were chasing me.
Janelle Fletcher says roof rats were the bravest.
Thank you.
And she doesn't live too far from you. She's up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm in Middleton, outside of Madison, just outside of Madison.
Yeah, she's up in north central there somewhere, or in
Joe
south
Conjal
central.
says, "Hi Nick, your story should be a movie. Any interest in pursuing that?" Who doesn't want to pursue it, Joe?
Okay, sure.
Yes, he does. Paul Hollis says, "Amazing story, Nick. Thank you for sharing your heart."
And it really is. You know, I love teachers. My message, my daughter knows that. My oldest daughter is a high school teacher in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. You don't know. I mean, to any teacher listening, or nurse, or doc, you don't know the effect you have on kids just by listening to them, just by talk, just by kindness. You don't know how many hearts you've affected.
Yeah,
You know?
Exactly. Heather Mudgett says the greatest tool for a writer is reading.
Yep.
And Chanel is in a town I can't pronounce,
Kaukauna.
Kaukauna. It's near Appleton.
Oh, I know where that is.
Yeah, that's north of you.
My wife, Judy, was born in Dale, Wisconsin, which is just outside of Appleton.
There you go.
And Marjorie Daring says a remarkable account, awful and wonderful at the same time.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It was. If I can go back and change stuff, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Joe Conjal says, LOL, laughing about the fact that, yes, of course you want to have a movie. We were just talking about that just a few minutes ago, Joe, before the show started. Isn't that what we would all like?
Yeah, that would be great fun.
This is based on your own life. Let me bring up that picture of your first book right away, Weepers, and those are those gang kids on the top.
That is,
right?
Yes.
And then below looks like Manhattan to me, like a picture of Manhattan.
It is.
And I can't even imagine that. That's so different from the way that I grew up, you know?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I grew up, you know, playing with all the neighborhood. I mean, I grew up around the same time you did. And yes, the principal's word was the last word.
Mm-hmm.
And any adult in the neighborhood could smack your fanny and punish you.
That's right.
And you better not have to have a neighbor bring you home and tell your parents what terrible thing you did because you were going to be dead.
That's right.
But I didn't have to deal with gang. I grew up in the suburbs.
We had bullies in the school, but you know, pretty minimal compared to that, really.
And most this really isn't. I don't mean this to be in defense of gangs,
right.
But a lot of gangs, as I point out in Weepers, actually, a lot of gangs wind up forming just to keep each other safe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's how they started. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But then, like anything else, they turn into something not.
That's right. It depends on where they're going to go.
Sort of like unions.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want to hit into that.
Let's not.
No. Similar idea, but let's take a short break.
Already?
Yeah, already.
My gosh, time is flying, you guys.
Yeah, summer's half over. Anyway, we're going to take a short break and to hear from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back. So sit tight, everybody.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Dear Lord, she's still alive.
Who's still alive?
Maris, that's who.
Come on, Angie, that's impossible.
Impossible or not, she's still alive, I tell you. She killed that boatload of people, and she's just getting started. There's no limit to what she will do.
It's not easy to kill a siren. It takes a formula and a plan. Siren Song 2 is the spellbinding sequel to Siren Song. Both novels by George Dismukes.
Siren Song 2 will be on bookshelves and bookseller websites in July. Don't miss it.
In a world where advancing technology is outpacing crime solving, the O'Rourke team continues their relentless pursuit of justice. Bioprints is the first book in the O'Rourke crime novel series where it's high-tech crime versus old-fashioned detective work. Visit carternovels.com or amazon.com and check out Bioprints today. Hello.
We're back.
See, we told you we'd come back.
True to our word, we are back. So let me put this up again. Can you tell us, I mean, we understand now the backstory of your story, why you wrote it, and for who, for all of those kids that, you know, have been discouraged, to tell them to encourage them, you know, that they can do anything, right? So you want to tell us a little synopsis of the story without giving anything away?
No, I'll even give stuff away. It opens up in 1951, and Angelo is the main character. He's 7 years old or 8 years old, 7 years old at the time. And as my wife would point out, this is really an autobiography that's fictionalized.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, I digress, is at
Okay.
first I named Angelo Nick, but he couldn't do anything wrong. He was just this boring, lovely. I had to change his name. I had to get rid of Nick right away. Angelo is walking home with his father, and it's Christmas Eve, and it's snowing in New York City. And I can remember picking up Christmas presents from family that lived in the neighborhood in a little shopping cart, two-wheel shopping cart, and delivering little presents, not much, a bottle of whiskey, some toy, whatever. Well, they're walking home and it's snowing, and it's a lovely, soft, beautiful, magical snow. The point of view is through Angelo's eyes. And so that's why it's lovely. And for writers out there, I did a ton of research on this, even though I was there, and it didn't snow in 1951 in New York City. In fact, I couldn't find a Christmas Eve when it snowed, and I needed it to be around that time period. So, being a fiction writer, I made it snow.
There you go.
And by the way, the headline in the New York Times for 1951 on Christmas Eve, if you want to go back and check, is "No Snow for Christmas." And so as Angelo is walking with his father, Angelo says, "I'm glad Nonna's newspaper was wrong, Papa." And his father says, "Yeah, the New York Times doesn't get it right all the time." I bowed to truth, but I'm still making it snow, right? So as they're walking home on Christmas Eve, it's the first time his father has ever been nice to him. Angelo, his father feels, 9 months before Angelo was born, Angelo's mother was raped. And his father always wondered whether Angelo was his son or not. But for the first time, his father seems to embrace Angelo. And Angelo skips ahead, gets to the corner, turns around, and his father's gone. The shopping cart is sitting on the sidewalk with Christmas presents in it. The street is empty. There's nobody walking, no traffic moving, and his father has just vanished. Angelo sees a gang in the projects that are starting to walk toward him. And Angelo, even though he's 7, knows the first rule of the jungle. If it moves away from you, it's food. If it moves toward you, your food. So Angelo runs home and blames himself for not looking for his father, not being with him. Chapter 2 moves ahead to 1957 from 1951, and Angelo is now a gang member. And so that's the opening to Weepers. And
Wow.
Wow.
Angelo's mother's godfather is Nunzio Sabino, Nunzio's Way, who is the top crime boss in the neighborhood.
Wow.
He makes between Angelo, a priest, Nunzio, and a detective. They solve not only the crime of that, they solve not only what happened to Angelo's father in 1951, but there's a crime that Angelo witnesses, the killing of an undercover cop in the middle of the night, as Angelo, now 12 years old, is on his way to his grocery store to set fire to it. He witnesses the murder of an undercover cop. And so that's kind of, the story sort of moves along with Angelo and his friends. And the secret, I'll tell you the secret to the Weepers. I'll give this away, because you don't find out this until like the middle of the book. So him and his friends form a gang to protect themselves. They're going into junior high school, into the 7th grade, and they call themselves the Grim Reapers. And Angelo gets into a fight with another gang member, and Angelo cries during the fight. And the gang starts calling them Weepers instead of Reapers.
Wow.
He goes home and he tells his Uncle Johnny, who lives with them. He's a Korean War veteran who suffers from shell shock, which is today post-traumatic stress, right?
Yep.
He tells his Uncle Johnny what they said about him, and he can't show his face anymore. And everybody's calling him a weeper. And Uncle Johnny tells him to roll up his sleeve. And he writes with an ink pen, Weepers, on his shoulder, and says, own the name, change the name of your gang. You're now the Weepers. Take pride in being the Weepers, and let everybody else know that you take pride. And that's the Weepers. That's the birth.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's in a nutshell what the story is about. And there's a new priest in town that's working with the old priest from Milwaukee, and there's a lot of other stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
It was
a lot
fun.
of truth to what the uncle says too.
There is, and for writers, I think they would agree. You guys, it's like living twice when you write. You know, you go back and you remember stuff, and
Yeah.
you do a
sure.
ton of research, and lots of stuff comes back to you.
I love the
Kinda
research
cool.
part.
Yeah, I do too.
Joe Conjal says he loves the title Nunzio's Way. Immediately it says crime/mob story.
Yeah.
Which it does. It definitely does. Now you've finished writing that.
Yes, that's done. I have the final proofs and blurbs for the back cover, and a dear friend did the artwork on the front.
Oh yeah, let's put that up again and we can talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
Here it is.
So that's
Brooklyn
the Brooklyn
Bridge, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Good
I
for you.
recognized it
Good
right
for
away.
you. And so Nunzio's way is his way. And Nunzio is based on a real character, one of my uncles. Nunzio's way is to be a fox when there's traps and a lion when there's wolves. And so Nunzio, if this is Nunzio, is crossing the Brooklyn Bridge into the mouth of a lion or a wolf. And it doesn't really matter how you see that cover, but it's Nunzio and his belief in the strength of the lion and going into Manhattan along the Brooklyn Bridge.
Those of you who are listening and can't see it, I suggest you go to his author's page on Amazon and look at it as soon as it comes up.
Yeah.
But it does show the Brooklyn Bridge in like blue and black, so it looks like night. And there's the silhouette of the man who would be Nunzio, and he's the arches on the Brooklyn Bridge house the eyes of either the lion or the wolf, however you want to look at it, as Nick said. And he's walking right into that. So almost like into the mouth of the lion.
Right.
Or the mouth of the wolf. It's really...
And there's some blood splatter
And there's
on
blood,
the bottom.
yeah.
Oh, there's blood. Yes.
Which is nice.
There's always...
Yes. Yes.
Always
Nice
blood when we're
touch.
talking about mobs, right?
Why don't we tell everybody how to reach him?
Okay. Wait a minute. We've got a comment before I do that. The eyes do say lion. Lion. That's what I thought too, Marjorie, when I first saw the title. I thought it was a lion.
And the eyes are that of a lion. And when the artist, my friend Mark Schmidt, who owns Zebra Dog in Madison, Wisconsin, when he drew it as a lion welcoming Nunzio across the bridge. So that's really, so you nailed it, Marjorie. I mean, that's really the image. Nunzio is the lion.
Aha. Well, let's go ahead and put up some of his information so you can get in touch with Nick. His website is nickchiarkas.com, and I will spell that NICKCHIARKAS for those of you who are listening and not watching. His email is nick.chiarkas@gmail.com. His Facebook is Nicholas Chiarkas Author. See how easy he's made this for all of us to reach him? And his Twitter is @Chiarkas. And LinkedIn, as usual, is Nicholas-Chiarkas and then dash a whole bunch of numbers. And I'll read them off if anyone's interested, but I bet you can find them anyway. But they are 9AA32344, and those are small.
If you just search for Nicholas Chiarkas, you'll find him.
You'll find him. That's what I'm saying. That's my story.
Actually, I think it's under Nick.
It probably is. Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. What do I know? So let's go with the book giveaway. We're ready to give away. You ready to give away something here?
Oh, before we do the book giveaway, let me, we're doing it a little differently tonight, guys. Nick's publisher wants to give the book away. So let me give you her website. It's Kira at HenschelHouseBooks.com. So that's
her email. Yeah.
I mean her email. Yeah. It's KIRA at HENSCHELHAUS books.com. And so that's her email.
And put in the subject podcast giveaway. So she'll know what it is.
Cool.
Okay.
So, all right. So
here we go.
The first 3 people to email Kira at HenschelHouseBooks.com will win a copy of the Weepers in either paperback for US only, CD audiobook US only, or ebook global.
And can I jump in?
Yes.
So I contacted Kira and I told her that's what you were going to say.
Yeah.
And so that it would only be US only if it was a book. And she said, well, why don't we just see what comes in?
Okay.
Oh, all right.
And so it might be that she would send the paperback. So I would ask for whatever you want.
Right. Yeah, if you're outside the United States, go ahead and
give
ask.
It a shot. Yeah, that's cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So get typing, people.
Yeah.
It's a little different tonight. You're going to have to email the publisher and put, author podcast in there on the header.
I really like, by the way, the audio CD. I know that's kind of old fashioned. And can I tell you why?
Oh,
sure.
Absolutely.
So this was published traditionally, so I didn't have much say in who would do the audiobook. But my son Josh auditioned for it and he got it. And he's my youngest. And so for me, that was like the anytime I want, I can listen to my son tell
Wow.
me my story.
Your story.
Aw,
Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
That's really
And
wonderful.
so for me, I love the audio book. But for you guys, you should pick whatever you like, whatever you prefer.
But that's really nice. So now will you have the audio for Nunzio's Way too?
So Nunzio's Way, it won't be on CDs. It'll just be audible.
Okay.
And Josh, again, will be a narrator, but so will my daughter, Erica. And
Okay.
they're going to do it together.
Teamwork. Okay.
Yeah, Nunzio's Way. I introduce a character called Heather Potter, who in chapter 2, it opens up with Heather Potter, this lovely young waitress in Naples, Italy, walks up to a Camorra, which is like organized crime in Italy, boss who's having coffee with wet towels and shoots him in the head.
Whoa.
Oh.
And then she goes to New York where she's going to kill Nunzio.
Oh.
And so Heather Potter, her part of the story will be read by Erica. My son and daughter will be doing a joint thing on this. And I think that will be fun. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
She gets to play an assassin.
She does. She does.
Awesome. That'll be fun.
It was fun writing her character, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay. Well, let's get our second break out of the way.
Oh, okay.
And we'll come back here in just
We'll
a
be
minute.
right back. So
The sponsors
another word from our sponsor.
need to tell you some more stuff. Is what they need to do.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book 1 of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
This award-winning thriller has it all. Murder, political intrigue, mob revenge, and a bit of romance. Not to mention strong female and male characters with a storyline that could be tomorrow's headline news. Now for a quick peek into our story. To help solving a nationwide plot involving the assassination of several U.S. senators, the O'Rourke team is called in. To complicate matters, they now have to work against the clock to rescue one of their own. You see, the mob didn't take too kindly to the O'Rourke team's involvement last spring. It seems to have led to the indictment of their boss. Will they succeed?
And we're back again.
And George Dismukes says, listening to this guy makes me realize that, like me, he comes from a jungle. They are just different kinds of jungles. I think mine is safer. Yeah. His was the commercial you just heard about the jungle cats.
That sounds good. I like that. I like that commercial.
Yeah, I do too. It's a really good commercial. The faces of the two faces of the jaguar.
Mm-hmm.
George is the one who's making a movie right now.
Oh,
Siren.
Congratulations.
Siren
that's-
Song, the other commercial. That was, and those are the actresses, aren't they, George? The two on the commercial. They'll actually be in the movie, I think.
I think you're right.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You
It
have
is.
a question you want to ask?
I did have a question I wanted to ask you when we came back from break. Are you thinking of a third story after Nunzio's Way? Or are you thinking of doing another story?
So when I first thought about it, I thought about 4 books in the series of Weepers. And so, yes, there's going to be one following Nunzio's Way and then one more after that. I kind of I got the idea about Weepers from, as I said, from growing up. Nunzio's Way, a lot of it came to me from, I don't know if this is in my bio or not, but I was a NYPD cop for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the stories, a lot of the real life stuff, I bring into Nunzio's Way and to the following books as well. It was a good time. It was, I have to say, I liked being a cop.
Well, that kind of leads into the question. I had a question for you. I was wondering how you served on the President's Commission on Organized Crime.
I did.
I was wondering if any of that is woven in to your stories.
It is. It is. Kind of loosely, though.
Okay.
So
it can't come back at you.
So it can't come free.
Because then you know what has happened next.
Right.
Then we'd have to.
But when I was on the President's Commission on Organized Crime, I took the deposition of a guy who was serving time in Texarkana prison. He was an attorney for the mob, and told me how he would pay off witnesses and jurors or threaten them. And
Wow.
And he was very proud of the number of cases he won. And I remember saying to him, you consider that a win if you threatened somebody or you cheated? And he said, oh yeah, they're all wins. I just had an edge. So in Nunzio's Way opens with an attorney saying the first line in Nunzio's Way is Nunzio saying, in this city, pal, you can have anything you want if you kill the right 4 people. And his attorney, Declan, says, do we really have to kill people? All I want to do is become mayor. And Nunzio talks to him about the fact that he cheats when he's in trial and stuff like that. So that parts of that came from real life in this deposition, but it becomes fictionalized as I introduce the character. But certainly my deposition informed the character that I created, Declan, this guy that wants to be the mayor of New York in 1960.
So is Declan Irish? I mean,
Declan's
his name is Irish, so.
He's Irish. He's Irish. And actually, Nunzio winds up saying to him, why don't you just run? Look at you. You're a good-looking, tall Irishman. And they say this guy Kennedy's going to win the presidential race. Who would have thought? So you might as well shot. And Declan says, no, I like to have an edge. And I stole that again from this deposition that I did. And so I kind of steal pieces. I don't know if all authors do that, but I kind of steal pieces of life, real life.
I think most authors do.
Yeah, you weave it in.
So George answered my question. He said, yes, Jamie Wilson, who plays the role of Angie Holland, was the female voice on the Siren Song 2 spot. The one that we just listened to.
Yeah, that was a good one. A good spot.
Yeah, it was a good one too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we all base some stuff on, real life and people that we know and,
We do. And it unfolds in good ways. It unfolds in strange or bad ways, but it unfolds, and you walk through it. You keep walking through it.
CW says all authors steal from life. Well, I do.
Yeah, I think CW's right. I agree with.
I do too.
Yeah.
I actually, a lot of the people, the names in our books come from people that we know.
Yeah.
And we actually named one of our mob bosses after his brother.
Yeah, he didn't take too kindly to that. I
like that.
His brother lives in Wisconsin, and the small boss comes from Wisconsin, and we named it, the whole family after him.
Oh, I like that very much.
The whole
I
mob
like that a
family.
lot. Yeah.
I actually had a really good friend in Chicago who we became very close, and turns out, and I'm not going to say her name or the family. No. But people kept saying to me, why do you hang out with this person? And I said, because I like her. We get along well. Our kids play well together. I like her. And they said, well, her husband's in the mob. And I said, no, they're not. And they said, yes, they are. I said, they're not. I have our family would go and have dinner with them on Sunday. They would close down their restaurant. They had an Italian restaurant, and her father-in-law would be there. And
yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were. I was so naive. I finally figured it out one time when she said to me, listen, our oldest four are girls. We have 4 girls, then we had a boy, and then we had another girl. And at this time, we just had the 4 girls. And she said to me, why don't you and the girls come over? Because I just got a whole bunch of designer bathing suits, and you can pick and choose whatever you want. She said, we've got it on the back of a truck in the driveway. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's real life. That's real life.
Okay. Oh, yeah. But picture this. I'm like I said, I grew up in the suburbs, and and then here I am in Chicago, and I had no idea. I mean, I had never met anyone like that before. I was, she's a very nice girl. I really liked her.
They're just people. I mean, in a lot of ways, well, I'm not going to defend it.
No.
It depends on how you know them.
I was like, no, thank you. I don't need any bathing suits.
That's right. That's right.
Off the back of any trucks. And at that time, my brother was in the FBI. It was before he went over to Secret Service. And it's like, oh, gosh.
Well, when I was a cop in New York City, I can't remember a single time where I ever had a problem with a mob guy, a maid guy. They kind of blended into the neighborhood. They had illegal activities, no doubt. No doubt in many ways they were bullies. But they did have some kind of a code. It was different than, as we were talking about, just street gangs, wild street gangs. And again, not defending the life, but there was something about it that you could count on. Does that make sense? It wasn't completely irrational.
Right.
Again, not defending the life.
Joe Conjal said it's like a Goodfellas scene, Joan, LOL. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But and I didn't know I was in a Goodfellas scene. I had no idea.
And it was not uncommon for me to, as a cop, to be sitting down having dinner with my Uncle Mario, who in many ways is the fictionalized character Nunzio. I mean, it was just, we did different things. Being a cop was fun. Being a cop, being a cop was mostly for those of, despite the movies, being a cop was mostly, for me, helping people. I mean, there was certainly, it was the 1960s into the 70s. There was riots in New York. There was trouble. There were lots of things going on. But mostly, you were helping people, you know. And you, I'll tell you something. This would not have happened if I wasn't a cop. In 1969, I was one of a handful of New York City cops that was sent up to a music festival in Woodstock, New York.
Oh my goodness.
Woodstock. It wasn't actually in Woodstock, New York.
So you blended right in.
So we had to take the time off, and we were given these red, which I still have, these jackets that said peace and symbol on it, and spent 5 days. It was a 3-day festival, but we spent 5 days up there with this amazing crowd and wonderful people. And I know these are old, I'm talking about a long time ago, but I'm on stage as a cop with different performers tuning up, and Janis Joplin and
Jimi Hendrix.
Well, Jimi Hendrix looked at me, and I think you could see it on my arm. I have a tattoo.
Yeah.
And he could see like about that much of it. And he pointed at me and he said, Hoptown. Now, I didn't know what he said at first. And I was surprised that Jimi Hendrix was even talking to me. And I said, Hoptown? And he said, Hoptown. You were in the 101st Airborne Division, and you got that tattoo in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Ah.
And he said, we called it Hoptown. Jimi Hendrix was in the 101st Airborne Division.
What?
He was in the Screaming Eagles?
He was in the Screaming Eagles 2 years before me.
Wow.
And I had no idea. And that's how he knew when he just saw the tattoo.
Wow.
That was from Hoptown. You got that tattoo in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Now,
That's amazing.
What a bizarre coincidence, right?
You do not think of Jimi Hendrix as a Screaming Eagle.
No.
I mean, come on.
Well,
he was.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, he did scream. That's where he learned to scream. Joe Concha wants to know, were you in the Woodstock movie? Because they did that documentary. Yes, you are.
I kept looking for me, Joe. I couldn't recognize myself, but everybody that was part of security wore red jackets. And so I might have been. I think the people in charge wore green jackets, or we wore red T-shirts if it was too hot. So I don't know. I couldn't find me, but I have the book. I paged through it.
Marjorie Deering said one of those jaw-dropping moments when Jimi Hendrix said, knew you were in the 101st.
I know, and the way he said it. I mean, you know, somebody else might have said, he didn't even brag, like, I was in the 101st. He just looked at me, pointed at my arm, and said, Hoptown. And nobody would know that we call Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Hoptown, unless you are at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
Were you able to enjoy any of the musical acts?
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
What was your favorite performer from there?
It's hard for me not to say Hendrix, but Janet. I love Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
I know she had a really tough childhood, and I know, man, she put all of her soul is in her music. It had to be her.
Yeah.
It had to be Janis Joplin. But Hendrix with when he ad-libbed the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
That was a moment. That was just a moment.
My mind is blown that he was a Screaming Eagle. I mean,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. He's assigned to 101st Airborne Division. Wow.
I think Paul Hollis, who is in the audience right now, I think he went to Woodstock. He was there, not in security as a a member of the audience.
Security was wonderful. I mean, security was the very first day, Wes Pomeroy, who was in charge of security, told the crowd that, we have some police officers, they all booed, but there's only 3 rules. Don't hurt anybody, don't steal from anybody, and if somebody's in trouble, help them or call us. And our job was just to make sure everybody was safe and okay. And we stayed on a dude ranch that was just outside of the music festival. And every day they would just ship us over to the music festival. It was wonderful.
Paul says, yep, I was there. Security may have been looking for me.
I think he found you, Paul.
I found you, Paul. We just wanted to thank you for coming. That's all we wanted.
Now, see, Paul's books, the Hollow Man series, are all based, they are, like he said, 98% truth and just a little bit of fiction. But he was an agent, and he was following terrorists, and he talks all about that, and in his books tells all the stories back during the Troubles in Ireland and also all across Eastern Europe, right, Paul? I probably have that wrong.
I think it was Eastern Europe.
I thought it was Eastern Europe, but yeah.
You might not remember.
That was tough stuff. That was tough. Good for you, Paul. I admire you. That was tough stuff.
His partner was an MI6 female agent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you.
Yep. He's written 3 books about it. So, but like you, it was all based on the truth.
Yeah.
Paul said, I've changed my name and grew a bigger nose. You won't be able to recognize me.
Your nose is bigger because you're lying about that. I think
I did the same thing.
No, everybody gets a bigger nose when they get older. Mine's bigger, yours is bigger.
Well, that's true.
Paul's telling the truth. Survive. Okay, Joe's talking about Paul's book, Surviving Prague. Is a fantastic book, and it's true. It's all stuff that he really did.
I will pick it up. I will pick it up and read it. I will do that. I look forward to that.
It's a whole series.
When I was with the Crime Commission, we had New York City cops, we had FBI agents, we had some secret guys. So we had a whole mix doing the investigations, and just a great bunch of guys, a great brotherhood of men and women that were doing the investigations. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good people. Good people.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother did.
This is the only political thing I'll say.
Okay.
Only political thing I'll say, and I'll not distinguish one way or the other.
Right.
But I've known lots of young men and women that risk their lives because they believe in the dream of America. And I am embarrassed that politicians, both sides of the aisle, won't risk a vote. They won't risk losing a vote to do the right thing.
To do what's right. Yeah.
And yet we have young men and women that would risk their lives to do the right thing.
Still do.
It stuns me. It always stuns me. So anyway, thank you, Paul, for everything you did. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you too, and everybody who served our country. Yeah. Different times now, isn't it? It's really different.
I kind of brought us down, didn't I?
Sorry. No, that's okay.
No, you didn't.
That's all right.
It's good. It's good.
I mean, we were raised that if, I was raised that if I ever had a problem, I should go find a cop, and so I always felt comfortable. But then I come from a family of Leos, so I trusted cops.
Just do what's right. I don't know. Yeah, I know sometimes it'll turn out crummy, but just do it right. Just do what's right.
Yeah.
Seems easy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Your third book that you're talking about, have you got a title for that yet, or a working title?
And interestingly enough, it is A Fox and a Lion.
Oh, A Fox and a Lion. Because
stolen from Nunzio's way, right?
Because of what your Uncle Nunzio said. Yeah.
Right.
But that probably won't be out until next year sometime, right?
Or 2 years.
Or 2 years. Okay.
I spend a ton of time researching, as somebody else said, a ton of time just doing research. Maybe 10% of the time is writing it, and then another 50% of the time is rewriting and editing. And more research. And that's the fun part. The editing is and the rewriting is the fun part.
Yeah.
I don't like that part.
I love it.
I like the research and I like writing it, and then editing and everything is like, after a while I get tired of it. I'm like,
well, you do after you've read it so many times. But
yes,
I like the idea of, I think it was Shannon Hale, but I'm not sure. But I like the idea of writing a book is shoveling sand into a box, and rewriting is building a castle. And so, writing the book is all that stuff. I did all the research. I got all the stuff, put it down. Now I'm going to build that castle.
And the only way you can build that castle from the sand is all the tears that you weep as you're going through it.
Yeah, there you go.
Water's enough
I like
to make
that
a castle.
I like that. I'm going to steal that.
Go right ahead.
That's true. That's so true.
So Nick, apart from running across rooftops and dropping into the library, what kind of advice would you give somebody that's just starting out trying to be a writer, that wants to be a writer? I mean, if that's your advice, that's fine. But I mean, that's kind of dangerous.
My advice is something my Italian mother used to say a lot. It sounds better in Italian. Make haste slowly. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way to do it. Get an idea, whatever your idea might be. And we could spend hours talking about how you get an idea. Write a first sentence. And your first sentence, I'll give you the first sentence. The first sentence is, an unsolved mystery is a thorn in my heart. That's from Joyce Carol Oates. Write that, and then write your next paragraph, and then erase the first sentence. And you'll have a great start to a first draft. But write that first draft as if you're telling a friend a story. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about laced up shoes and grandma has to have a tie. Just tell a friend the story. Just 2 pages, handwrite it, write your story. And that would be my advice. That's how to start. And then know that it is going to be a marathon. Weepers came out in 2015, and I'm still selling books from 2015 from Weepers. But that's it. I mean, you will hate it and you will love it, and you will not sleep well, and you will lose friends, and neighbors will wonder why you don't talk to them anymore.
George says, my books have a lot of shoveling, but not sand.
I'm going to steal that one, George.
Yeah, that is a good one. George always has these great sayings. Oh my gosh, well, this has been fun.
This has been great. Thank you so much for sharing. Fascinating. We got to get Weepers.
Yeah.
Got to add that to the arsenal. Wish you the best, and looking forward to October when Nunzio's Way comes out.
Thank you.
Joe Conjal says, thank you, Joan, Rob, and Nick. Super interesting show tonight. It is, isn't it? I love the story behind the story.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
your story.
Thank you, Joan. And please stay safe, you guys.
Everybody, yeah.
We definitely will.
Yeah,
We're
everybody stay safe.
gonna push you over to the side here while we wrap up.
Okay, let me put up the last few comments. George Dismuke says, great interview. Had fun. We did too. Marjorie Daring says, great show. Thank you all. It was. Paul Hollis says, another fantastic show. Thank you, Nick, Joan, and Rob. Heather Mudgett said, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Heather.
you for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for joining us and all your comments. We love them.
Want to give a little shout out. You know what came in the mail this week?
Yes, I
Yes.
do. I live with you.
Oh, that's right. Memphis Confidential, Gerald Darnell. Brand new release, Carson Reno Mystery, latest edition. He's got lots and lots of books, all really good.
Yeah.
Carson Reno. You can get that at carsonrenomysteryseries.com or geraldwdarnell.com. I want to tell you about episode rewind this Saturday is June 25th, and that'll be episode 30, and it's Paul Hollis. So wherever you're watching right now, tune in and you can hear I think this was the second time he was on the show by himself, and it was a fascinating show. He told us even more stuff.
You have to listen to this, guys.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to it, you have to listen.
That's 5:30 Saturday, right here where you're at right now.
You will learn things that will blow your mind.
Next Wednesday, June 29th, 7 p.m. right here. Mark Langley is the author that's going to be on. He's the author of the Arthur Nakai mystery series. And actually, his series is, I think the whole series, at least the first one, is going to be, or is narrated by Bronson Pinchot.
All of his books are.
Yeah.
Are,
I'm not sure if they're all out yet,
Bronson.
is what I meant. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
But I think he's going to do all of them.
You all knew who Bronson Pinchot is, right?
I don't know.
The actor? Well.
I don't know whether they do. What do you think? He was on Perfect Strangers.
Yep.
He was Belky.
Balky.
Right? So he's doing audiobooks now. So pretty cool. At any rate, I think that's about all I've got. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think I've said enough.
Whoa, I've never heard that.
Yeah,
Okay.
every week you hear it.
All right. Well, until next time.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DV.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.